ॐ अथ नवमोऽध्यायः राजविद्या योगः। श्रीभगवानुवाच इदं तु ते गुह्यतमं प्रवक्ष्याम्यनसूयवे।
इदं तु ते गुह्यतमं प्रवक्ष्यामनसूयवे।
ज्ञानविज्ञानसहितं ज्ञात्वा मोक्ष्यसे शुभात्।
ज्ञानं
ज्ञानसहितं
विज्ञानसहितं
यज्ञात्वा
यज्ञात्वा
मोक्ष्यसे
मोक्ष्यसे
शुभात्।
शुभात्।
राजविद्या राजगुह्यं पवित्रमिदमुत्तमम्।
राजविद्या
राजविद्या
राजगुह्यं
राजगुह्यं
पवित्रमिदमुत्तमम्।
पवित्रमिदमुत्तमम्।
प्रत्यक्षावगमं धर्म्यं सुसुखं कर्तुमव्ययम्।
प्रत्यक्षावगमं
प्रत्यक्षावगमं धर्मं
धर्म्यं
सुखं
सुसुखं
कर्तुमव्ययम्।
कर्तुमव्ययम्।
अश्रद्दधाना पुरुषा धर्मस्यास्य परन्तप।
अश्रद्धाना
अश्रद्धधाना
अश्वत्थानः
पुरुषा
पुरुषा
पुरुषः
धर्मस्यास्य
धर्मस्य
परन्तप।
परन्तप।
प्राप्य मां निवर्तन्ते मृत्युसंसारवर्त्मनि।
अप्राप्यमां
अप्राप्य
अप्राप्य
मां
मां
निवर्तन्ते
निवर्तन्ते
मृत्युसंसारवर्त्मनि।
संसारवर्त्मनि।
मया ततमिदं सर्वं जगदव्यक्तमूर्तिना
मया
मया
तमिदं
ततमिदं
सर्वं
सर्वं जगदव्यक्तमूर्तिना
जगदव्यक्तमूर्तिना
मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेष्वस्थितः।
मत्स्थानि
सानि
सर्वभूतानि
सर्वभूतानि न चाहं
तेष्वस्थितः।
त्वेष्वस्थितः।
न च मत्स्थानि भूतानि पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम्।
न च मत्सानि
न च
भूतानि पश्य मे
मत्स्थानि
योगमैश्वरम्।
पश्यमेयोगमैश्वरम्।
भूतभृन्न च भूतस्थः ममात्मा भूतभावनः।
भूतभृन्न
भूतभृन्न
च
च भूतस्थो
भूतस्थः
ममात्मा
भूतभावनः।
भूतभावनः।
यथाकाशस्थितो नित्यं वायु सर्वत्र गो महान्।
यथाकाशस्थितो
यथाकाशस्थितो
नित्यं
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 वायुः
वायुः
सर्वत्र
सर्वत्र
घूमः।
महान्।
तथा सर्वाणि भूतानि मत्स्थानीत्युपधारय।
तथा
तथा
सर्वाणि
सर्वाणि
भूतानि
भूतानि
मत्स्थानीत्युपधारय।
मत्स्थानीत्युपधारय।
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्।
सर्वभूतानि
सर्वभूतानि
कौन्तेय
कौन्तेय
प्रकृतिं यान्ति
प्रकृतिं यान्ति
मामिकाम्।
मामिकाम्।
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम्।
कल्पक्षये
कल्पक्षये
पुनस्तानि
पुनस्तानि
कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम्।
विसृजाम्यहम्।
प्रकृतिं स्वामवष्टभ्य विसृजामि पुनः पुनः।
प्रकृतिं
प्रकृतिं
स्वामवष्टभ्य
स्वामवष्टभ्य
विसृजामि पुनः
विसृजामि
पुनः।
पुनः।
भूतग्राममिदं कृत्स्नम् अवशं प्रकृतेर्वशात्।
भूतग्राममिमं
भूतग्राममिमं
अवशं
अवशं
प्रकृतेर्वशात्।
प्रकृतेर्वशात्।
च मां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय।
न
न च
च
मां
मां
तानि
तानि कर्माणि
कर्माणि
निबध्नन्ति
निबध्नन्ति
धनञ्जय।
धनञ्जय।
उदासीनवदासीनम् असक्तं तेषु कर्मसु।
उदासीनवदासीनम् असक्तं तेषु
असक्तं
कर्मसु।
तेषु कर्मसु।
याद्यक्ष्येण प्रकृतिः सूयते सचराचरम्।
मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिः सूयते सचराचरम्
हेतु नानेन कौन्तेय जगत् परिवर्तते
हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्वि परिवर्तते
परिवर्तते
So, to recap, we started with this chapter where Krishna declares that this is, he's going to communicate the royal secret. Right? We talked a lot about what that royal means, what that secret means, and so forth. And he starts with stating what some of those aspects are, and this whole chapter is going to get into the depth of the big I, correct, from here onwards. So he starts with saying that, I am the one that pervades this entire universe. Before that, he starts, talking a little bit about what maybe you can consider as a qualification to learn this or to be able to even assimilate this knowledge. And that he declares in the third verse, wherein he says, only somebody with faith in this dharma. Faith means Shraddha here, right? Only somebody who has even an iota of faith, right? Where the faith is not here about something about the worldly affairs. Faith is about the unknown. Because we're going into an unknown territory where there are only pointers to things. There is not a clear definition. And so when we get into some abstract things, like unless you have a little bit of openness to even listen to what that abstract thing is, only then you can even, listen to it or be able to assimilate it. So that's what he starts with in the third chapter, and he starts, communicating a lot more in detail. He says, without having that faith, you will not attain me. And you will go through the path of birth and death and, that whole cycle. So he's essentially saying, there's no choice but for each one of us to go through this phase of this, right? There is no choice, right? Sooner or later, whether this janma, next janma, we have to go through this to come out of the cycle of, death and birth and so forth. So fourth words onwards, he starts talking about this royal secret. And a lot of this, there is going to be some, we might have heard this multiple times, but it's good to hear it, in the world of this being a royal secret, right? And then we have to understand this royal secret is something that, we have to sort of imbibe within, right? We might have heard this multiple times, but see it with a fresh face, right? Hear it as though you're hearing it for the first time. So the whole world is pervaded by me. In what form? So here earlier we might have heard this as, just pervaded by me. Now in the word manifest, unmanifest comes in, right? We've heard this unmanifest in the last chapter. Unmanifest means, in a form that you and I cannot perceive. So everything exists in me, but I am not in them. That's how he starts with the fourth verse. And there itself, I am here and not there, etc. All these comes in, questions arise. And that's where the depth of this chapter comes in, is to understand, relate to what he's saying in each one of them. So unmanifest is what, right? Unmanifest means, not the names and forms that you and I see every day. So the best example to put it is look at the ocean. And, the ocean, when we see it from the outside, what we see is really the waves going up and down. But all of them are part of the ocean, part of the water. It's just that it pervades this in the form of waves. But ultimately, that the entity that makes it, even those waves happen, is the ocean. So that's what he's saying here, is that manifest world, you can call it, the unmanifested part here is the water, right? That we that we may not perceive, but that's what it's all. The waves are all made up of that. So my body, your body, not only the what we call as the living things, even the inert things, that is referred to as inert. Even a piece of wood, even a piece of chair that you're sitting in, everything is made up of him. So forms, right? So therefore we should realize that, it's not only the things that we see as moving objects, but even the immovable things all have a life force, and it's all pervaded by me. So we talked about the shariras that we all are part of and so forth in the last, the last class, right? And, so how do we understand the same thing? If you take the wave example, look at even from a sun, right? Sun is the one that is an enabler of the light, enabler of the heat, enabler of the whole functioning of what we see on Earth. It is everywhere, right? It provides everything, ammunition for the plants, ammunition for the human beings, for everything that is there. So the next verse that he's going to get into, right? But the sun, is it affected by what you and I do with it? Sun does something, it makes the clouds happen. Because of the sun, there is heat, and then there is a vapor that comes out of it. Clouds form, and then rains come. But then at times, during seasons, we may have rains, we may not have rains. Who's responsible for the rains and not the rains? We have to think. When we look at this powerful chanting that we do in Vishnu Sahasranam, right? Dhyana Mantram, Shantakaram Bhujakashayanam, correct? It communicates what he's referring to in this third stanza, right? Shantakaram Bhujakashayanam. He's an embodiment of peace. And he's, lying down, reclining on the serpent. Bhujagashayanam, Vishwadharam means what? He is everywhere. He's the sustainer. He's the, pervades everywhere. He's the sustainer of everybody on this universe. Gagana Sadrisham pervades the whole universe. Yogibit Dhyana Gamyam Bande Vishnam Bhavabhayharam Sarvalokekanadam, right? He says here the ones who are practitioners of yogic practices, who are the practitioners of meditation, they reach me. Dhyana Gamyam Bande Vishnam Bhavabhayharam. They reach me through the means of meditation. So, again, all of this, we chanted this so many times, but every time when we, that's the reason those Dhyana shlokas are so powerful in Vishnu Sahasranam. We just relate a little bit to what the sense of some of that is. So therefore, I am in all the waves. I pervade through all the waves, right? But I am not in them, is what he says. What is it? I am not in them. Right? I am not in all the waves going up and down. I am not the one, I am not in the waves, not ceasing, not existing after some time. So going up, coming down, what I call as a growth and decay. You and I go through a phase of growth and decay. Right? Existing, non-existing in a form. All of that, I am not in them. So in a sense, Swami Chinmayananda refers to this as an enabler and at the same time, not everything, right? Relationships, relationless relationship. Very beautiful way to look at it. He's related, right? Without him, you and I don't exist. At the same time, he's not caught up on all the things that you and I do every minute. So he is not bound by the limitations of what you and I see. Limitations means what? All the things that we do every minute, which are all limited, right? It's not something, it comes and goes. So, going on to the fifth verse, we covered till the fourth verse in the last stanza. The fifth verse goes even a little bit beyond, right? If you look at the ocean, right, sitting on the seashore, we see the turbulent waves coming up and down, come to the shore and then they disappear. At the same time, if we were to go deeper into the ocean, what do we find? We find, total peace, absolute, no sound existing, etc. Right? So it's absolute silence, nirvana. That is what he says I am. Therefore, I am not in all those turbulences, etc., that you see outside, right? When I say people, you see, this stanza sort of is a contradicting because it'll say people, beings don't exist in me, what it says. What does the existent mean? Meaning that I am beyond all of them. I am beyond all the, what you call noises, etc., the turbulences, up and down that things happen, because I'm total peace. So I'm formless, I'm all pervading, I'm unmanifest, I'm an unmanifested form. And therefore, then he says Yogam Aishwaram. You see the word, the fourth, fifth stanza. Let's just go through that 1 second. Nacha matstani bhutani pashyame yogam aishwaram. Yoga Aishwarya. So here the word yoga has got a different meaning. It's not the yoga that you and I think about. So yoga here means to see the one in many, which means what? One essence that pervades everything. That is yoga. Aishwarya, on the other hand, is the other one, seeing the many in the one. So he says, just see my whole glory, right? I am one in many, meaning what? I am the one essence that pervades all. Without me, nothing exists. What is the many in the one? Many in the one, everybody, merges into him, right? When I go to sleep every day, we go into an unmanifested form, right? We merge. Remember going back to the Kalpa definition we talked about in the last class. We all merge into him. So there is no existence at the time of the individual bodies, etc. We are merged into an unmanifested form, right, into him. So look at it from another angle, right? Each one of us, right, have different avatars in a day, isn't it? Let's not on a Sunday, let's take a weekday, right? In the morning, we are, whether we are a mother or a father to somebody, husband or a wife, and then we go to work or we do some work outside, right? We are perceived as boss or employee or whatever it is. There's so many different forms and shapes. If somebody were to ask you, who are you? What would you say you are? I'm beyond all of that, right? It is just that I take an avatar. It's like a drama. I play literally, Gita says we play a drama in life. Take different avatars. So when you're dealing with your son or daughter, you're definitely not the boss in a sense, right? You deal with your employees differently. You just change your wavelength altogether differently when you're dealing with your mother and father. Similarly, with your spouse, different. You can't be your manager. You can't wear a manager hat when you're dealing with your spouse. So, therefore, we have to just really understand this, right? What am I really, right? Therefore, I am beyond all of this. It's just that the world is just literally a play. We are just playing in different avatars. And he's giving us, all the freedom to express ourselves. The option is, how do I want to express myself? Do I want to express myself in a very positive manner, full of glory, full of joy, full of happiness, or I want to express myself as a miserable being, full of sorrow, hatred, whatever the negative tendencies might be. That is totally up to us. But he is not part of it one bit. It is totally up to you and I. That's how we do it. It is like this, right? So in all of this, we have to look at it this way. Can I, when I go through certain emotions every day, let's say I'm going through a phase of anger, phase of jealousy, phase of lust, whatever it might be. Rather than getting caught on it, can I just stand a little bit away from my body? Just, just observe myself. Remember, the mind is outside you. It's inside you, but it's also a layer outside you. If I just look at it myself as though I'm talking from the subtle layer, not from the gross layer, and I become an observer, I become a witness to the fact that I'm right now going through anger. I'm right now going through this particular negative emotion. Right? Am I really that? Can I just become simply a witness and tell really the mind, don't, when you calm down, I'll come to you, right? Can I just become a witness of it? So when you do that, what happens that all that jealousy, all that negative tendencies goes away. You're not, sort of in the grip of that particular emotion. And all of them are happening because of the tendencies that are built into us, right? That's what he says, I am not in them. I am not part of your emotions. Can you also become part of that? When we say my body, we say my mind, we say my breath. Who is this mind? I am angry. I am sad. I am happy. Who is this I? All of these are something worth pondering. Right. Is it that I, Ramesh, or I, Jaisudha, or I, Jairam Sir, etc.? No, right? Something beyond that. So look at it from another example, right? When you and I drive a car, right? What enables a car to go? What is the enabler? I'm not talking about electric car. I'm talking about petrol car. The petrol is the enabler. I, on the other hand, have been given the ammunition to do anything with the car, right? Petrol is simply enabling. Whether I drive it at the normal speed or drive it rashly or don't follow the rules and regulations of the road, is the petrol responsible? No, it is I. And if I were to get into an accident, can I go to court and say the enabler is a problem, God is a problem? No. So when we say, because of him this happened, he is cruel, all these things are happening, etc. We have to just reflect on that, right? He's just giving us all the ammunition possible. What we do with it is totally up to us. Right? He's just, so in a sense, we can say that, he's expressing through us. How does he express is up to us. Without him, we cannot express. So it's a very subtle thing, right? Without him, you and I cannot express one bit iota of thing. What I say every minute right now is up to me. Yeah, there is a force. You can say there is a grace, whatever you can call it, that is expressing things to me. Otherwise, things won't come out of my mouth, right? But at the same time, is he responsible for all that I say? No. So in that sense, it's just a little subtle way of looking at, ourselves, right? And best example is to look at our day-to-day life in terms of all the roles that we play. We are not, even though we are one person, we play actually 5, 6 different roles every day. Are we really that, or we are beyond that? That's what we have to understand. So now it goes one he always said, if you see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna always uses analogies, right? He'll give some examples to make us understand some of these things and these subtle things. And the 6th verse, he takes this example, right? Let's look at space, right? Pancha Mahabhutas say space is the subtlest of everything, right? So air element is part of space. True or not? Air element is part of space. Now there is a thunderstorm that's happening. Where is the thunderstorm happening? It's part of the air element that it creates turbulences in the air, that creates sounds, that creates, a rush of air at a very high velocity going through. All of that is happening where? In space. Right? So the space is pervading everywhere. Air is part of that, right? And in fact, space, if you look at space, very, going slightly related thing, right? Space is the one element that is 99% in everything, right? But if you go to the bottommost entity, which you can see only on a microscope, like an atom, even in an atom, even though you say there's a nucleus, there's a proton, electron, etc., 98, 99% of it is still space, because between a nuclei and all the electron, between each electron and the next electron, right, there is space. It's space everywhere. So our body, that's the reason, when they do, when after the body dies, they take it, when this thing is done, it goes to ashes. The ashes can fit into a matchbox. How? It is only because it is all space. It's only certain hard to, what you call, taken out by the fire. Those elements are the only thing that exist. So space element is everywhere. So going back to the air, all the turbulences that happen in a thunderstorm, which happens as part of the air element, happens where? In the space, right? And so, and where does the storm finally fizzle out? It's also in space. So in the absence of space, none of this would happen. Is the space impacted one bit by the thunderstorm? Absolutely not. It doesn't, nothing can break space. And space is the closest one can understand to the ultimate divine entity, right? Because it's the subtlest of all. It's everywhere. So similarly, everything good and bad that happens in our life, right? Who is responsible for all of it? It's happening in him, because without him, nothing would happen. And yet he's not affected by it. He is not responsible for it. He's the enlivener of what I do with myself. But at the same time, he's not the recipient. He's not the doer of any of them. It's totally me. Right? What harm I do, what good I do with all the talent, with all the, senses and sense organs that I have, totally up to me. It's absolutely zero karma, right? You and I are the ones who are, the recipients of any of those things that happen. He is not affected. So just a very subtle thing, just have to, reflect on this. It's not something that just comes very naturally to all of this, right? So let's go on now to the 7th verse. 7th verse is something that we have actually touched upon in the last chapter. He talks about the fact that, everyone, that he's the one that, people merge into him at the end of every kalpa. Right? So, and at the end of that kalpa, people again get projected back in as forms and, forms and shapes, etc. Right? So he's referring to here manifest to unmanifest, unmanifest to manifest. If you remember, 1 day of Brahma is how many years? 4.32, human years. I shouldn't call it years anymore because now the word years has got a reference, right? 1 year in Jupiter is different. 1 year in, in Earth is different. Let's call it Earth years or human years. So 1 day of Brahma is equal to 4.32 human years. So if you recall in the last chapter, during the day of Brahma, during the night of Brahma. During the night of Brahma, everybody merges into him as an unmanifested form. All our vasanas, all our impressions still exist. And at the beginning of the day, again we come back, right, into a manifested form, similar to the day and night that we see every day. We go to sleep, go unmanifested, come back in the morning, manifest. And this cycle happens in different layers. For our individual being, it happens like this, human beings. For maybe, a bird, it might be a different thing. For different forms, even in living things, it may be different. And so that's the way to understand. So therefore, and so when we talk about this, when everything merges, we can call that as the total mind. So Ishvara is also referred to as a total mind. What is total mind? Total mind means mind which is outside surrounding us. Remember, now we look at the Stula Sharira, where all the impressions, all the experiences, all the, vasanas, if you will, are accumulated in me, right? Now, all of us merge in the night. We know that gets into an unmanifested form. At the end of Kalpa, all of the minds of the total universe merges into him. So that's why it's called as a total mind. So it's almost like terabytes of all the data, you can call it, sitting there. And then it gets projected itself in the next morning. So if you see here, the word creation doesn't even come in. Even though in one sense we say create, things get created, not necessarily. So when I go from one form into the other, right, from one body, I die and go to the other, I'm actually getting projected. Because, in one sense, my impressions are all residing. It's all sitting there in an unmanifested form in a box. All it needs is just a house to put it into, a body to put it into. So it is just, it is like a movie screen, right? Onto the movie screen, certain things gets projected. The root of it is all sitting inside, maybe a DVD or some player where it's all sitting there. And when people go sit in the cinema theater, it gets projected onto the screen. Similarly, so in the context of, a deeper understanding of this, there's no creation. Everything is just projection, because it is a cycle, endless cycle of birth and death, birth and death. So in sleep, the total world ends. When I say the sleep, as in the sleep of Brahma, 1 day, 1 night. And when we wake up, the whole universe merges into him at the end of Kalpa. And at the beginning of Kalpa, the same universe emerges out, projects out. So therefore, if each one of us, therefore, right, when we go into that analysis, we are taking with us a blueprint of our vasanas. Blueprint meaning what? Something that cannot be changed. It is there. And that blueprint has to get manifested into another human form, in a place which is congenial to that particular vasanas. It gets printed. Right? We talked about all of that in the last chapter. So in terms of what remains in that unmanifested form of our vasanas, who's responsible for all of that? Fire. isn't it? Depending on the values that I cultivate, depending on the attitude that I have in the world, right? So much so the impressions that are around me. So much so, what gets carried away from this body into the next body through the unmanifested form. The divine cannot create or change any of that. It continues. Right? So this is something that, while it might be implicit, understood, something that we have to, very clearly understand. So if you understand it from those of us who do puja, right, we do the sankalpa, right? In a sankalpa, what do we say? We use all of these words in a very clear manner. Sometimes we don't understand, we don't relate to it, right? We use the word kalpa, we use the word manvantara, etc. So if anybody had taken a sankalpa recently, what is the sankalpa that we will say? We say Shveta Varaha Kalpe. Isn't it? Shveta Vara is what? Nothing like a white boar. So that is a current kalpa. And then, so, if you see the entire existence, right, it is referred to as, spheres or cycles. So the biggest cycle you can call is a kalpa cycle. And then there is also a cycle of cosmic, forms, cosmic sages or cosmic saints, however you call it. And so it is written in all of this is in Vishnu Puran, is referred to as Manvantras. Manvantras are the people who define the rules, cosmic rules that are to be followed. And it's all delegated to different energies, different beings. Let's not understand this divine being. These are divine entities. So right now, what is the Manvantras? So there are 14 Manvantras that are written in our books. You can call it as they are the guru of all the laws. Vaivasvata Manvantare. Right? So he is right now Vaivasvata for a particular time, and after some time, which not in our lifetime, but somebody else takes over. So we say Shveta Varaha Kalpe, Vaivasvata Manvantare, Kali Yuge. So here from there we come to the yugas after the Manvantara. Yugas are what all the yugas that we have referred to, right? And after that, you go one layer below that comes the lokas that we also talked about in the last, in the last chapter, right? The different lokas from the bhuloka to the bhualoka to the suvarloka, etc. So all of this, right, is something that we chant, we relate to now in the context of this chapter, in the context of our better understanding of what happens in the kalpa, etc. We can relate to it a bit more. So Krishna here therefore said that I am not responsible. I am the enlivener for everything, but at the same time, it is you who's responsible for anything. So then comes the question of, that is where he goes into the next level discussion, right? Which is in the 8th stanza. He says, I am that entity which is not part of anything that you and I do. But then I have enabling my nature, which is my lower level nature, which is called as a Prakriti, which is the one that is projecting this entire world of beings. So when we use the word nature, we say, right, nature. Nature is the one that's making a plant grow. Nature is the one that is making all the entire seasons happen in the universe that you and I experience. All of that, right? Who is that? That is Prakriti. So, Prakriti so my nature is what? If supposing somebody asks, what is your nature? Right? You'll say, my nature is made up of my vasanas, right? How I express myself every day, how I behave every day, governed a lot by my impressions that I have carried, my experience that I've carried. And that's what happens in every minute, every time. And that then, what you call enables, does certain things in the way I talk, in the way I behave, in the way I, take the next step in my life, right? Everything is governed by the vasanas. So when we say vasanas, when we say prakriti, it's one thing. So prakriti is the one that is enabling everything. So therefore, now it goes beyond that. Now, supposing we say that who when we say I have an ego, how does the ego happen? Based on certain impressions from the actions, that it creates a certain impression, and that impression, once it's built up over a period of time, that is what governs your ego, and that ego drives what you do next, how you behave with people, etc., etc. So even for that ego to express it's his entity, it is him, but he's not caught on what ego you have. He's unaffected by those actions. He's unbinding. So there is nothing like there is no attachment, no aversion to anything that happened. And you just go back to that movie screen example, right? Movie screen is essentially the substratum on which everything happens. And yet it is totally unaffected by what is shown in the movie screen. So what is he saying here in these few stanzas? If you look back at it, right? I do nothing, right? I am not bound by anything that the world that I see, world as in the manifested world, is doing. And world is though I give it all the freedom for you to play. You use it in whatever forms you want. You want to make life miserable for you, your choice. You want to make it a congenial, happy life for you, your choice. So what I do with the sunlight that comes every day, up to me. I can shut the window, shut the door, make sure no sun comes into my room, or I can open it up, especially in this winter season, to get some warmth into the room. Up to me, right? So the thing that we have to understand here is, when we say the word nature, how each one of our nature is different. One way to understand is that when we have, let's say, a garden, or let's say a lot of area to plant trees, multiple trees. How do we do it? Let's say I want multiple trees. Yeah. When I want to plant multiple trees, I plant, let's say, a mango seed, an apple, or whatever else, say rose, etc. How that seed, you know, how that seed manifests itself into a form is its nature, right? You cannot say all seeds, they may look the same, are going to show up as the same tree, right? There is inherently something in the nature of that apple seed that only when you plant it and you put all the soil and water to it, it will grow only as an apple, not as an orange, not as any other fruit, isn't it? So there is a nature element. There is that prakriti that is part of that particular seed. So is each one of them. So we have to therefore, when we see what is our seed for us, our seed is our vasanas. Our seed is our impressions. And Narayana, or you can call it the ultimate divinity, is the one that is making the seed manifest. It's the one that is enabling anything to happen. Minus him, none of them. And yet he is not responsible for anything. I think we'll just stop here for a few minutes, reflect a little bit on this, bit loaded. But at the same time, if we just step back and look at certain things, we in all of this, right? One is to understand this, but more than that, I think it's what is it that I do with this understanding? That's what we have to look at. What do I do in my day-to-day life? Right? That's what we have to look at in all of this. Can I be that person standing a few foot from my own body and observing me, observing my mind, observing my emotions? Or am I so embedded in those emotions that I can't even come step out of my body? That's what we have to see. Would like to talk, share? Nobody wants to start?
No, sir.
Sir, I
Actually,
have a doubt, sir. Okay, so sorry, Janam sir, you had something to ask.
no, you carry on, carry on.
Okay.
Maybe my doubt is also the same.
Okay. So first thing is that now one doubt I have is now from there are different lokas we say, right? So we transcend from one loka to another loka and then go to I mean the way we are the way we reach the ultimate is that while we keep shedding the vasanas, do we go from one loka to another loka and then reach? I know we discussed that, some people, I mean, we can directly reach the ultimate also, but I'm just asking, is it like we keep moving from one loka to another loka?
Yeah.
And,
So even
how
in
do
the
we
scene-
connect that years to our years? I mean, that is a little.
Yeah, so I think let's not get into the years part of it, right? But yeah, as you said, we all transcend, right? Every time we take a human body, we are progressing.
Okay.
Absolutely no choice. Situations come to us that we are made to progress, and we have to reach that ultimate thing. Everybody ultimately has to reach that thing. There's no question about it. Also, how many cycles we go through, as a number of births we go, is totally up to us. I mean, all of this, there is also a grace element that, is there, right? So without grace, nothing happens. When I say grace, blessings, but I have to still take the step.
So, sir, for example, now I say,
So,
for example, what
yeah.
I'm saying, from one loka to the next loka, if you're going also, there's a chance to come from there back to this loka, or we keep going up.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good question to ask, right? So I've, I think Guruji himself has talked about this once, right? Let's say somebody has got a vasana that is deep. Let's say they are who are the people who look at, take care of animals in this thing, right? Forget the medical term for it. Let's say there's a chicken farm. So there is a doctor that takes care of chickens, right? Let's take an example. That person is so much, in love with those. He's so attached to that, right? There's even a possibility that he might be born as a chicken in the next life. That's what he said. I'm not saying it. So that is because your vasanas, are thought day to night is about, you're more connected with that living being. Right? But most 99% always are in the human form. So you look at the human form, right, Shalini? Forget even the lokas. Even in today, even if you go around the world, you'll see primitive human beings and you see evolved human beings. This itself is a loka.
Okay.
You might be in this earthy form, right? But we are all in a different evolved shape, right? So you can say as we came from an ape. We came from an ape, is what we say. What the science says to this form. So, the animalistic tendencies that you and I might have in whatever form is part of the growth, isn't it? And the more and more I come out of animalistic tendencies and really nurture, the human nature, which is following dharma, following those things, then I slowly move and evolve further. So we can, one is to look at the lokas, what happens after death, right? But even in the human form, even in, let's say a robber, let's take Valmiki, right? Didn't he transcend? He transcended out of, a criminal, a saint, isn't it?
Okay.
So we don't even have to look at the local. We can look at the current life itself and really.
So then what are these 14 manvantaras you were talking about? What is a manvantara?
Yeah, that's a bit of a slightly, detailed, but very, very brief manner, right? So all of this is there in some of the Puranas that we have. Vishnu Purana
Okay.
talks about this. So, when this world was created, right, it is said that, somebody cannot create something without some governing force. Just like
Okay.
today, right, we have a chief minister, we have a governor, right? Yes or no?
Mhm.
For each
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
Without it,
Yeah.
things don't function. So who are the ones who set up those rules? There's a Supreme Court that sets the rules for this is what should be done, this is what is applicable. That, like that, for the universe to function, also there are lawgivers. They are the law gurus.
Okay.
And they've been given assigned duties, in some forms, right? For a period of time, you are the guru. And after some time, your job ends, somebody else takes over. Like that.
Mhm. Okay.
This actually, if you look back, in fact, in our scriptures, it says that once Brahma lives for 100 years, that 100 years is like trillion years for us. Forget the time quantum of it, right? Once Brahma's life is over, another person takes over.
Mm.
So it is even written in that form. Very, very, what you call far-fetched for us maybe to comprehend it. So everything is so very well articulated in our scriptures,
Oh, okay.
Vedic scriptures on these things.
Okay, sir.
Jai Gurudev. Ramesh?
Yeah, Shanti.
Today
Sorry. Shanti or Jai. Please.
Ramesh?
Yeah, please.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. I was just waiting for anybody to start, and I said whatever I was going to share was very much to do with what Shalini was asking about. So I might as well share it with you now. Now, while you were saying it and this, I also could not understand all the other logas. So, but relating it to the mundane existence, the gross level of my personal life, I had this flow in me that whatever you're saying, the lokas and all, the prapurusha element in me, as and now I'm going to practice this, a part of me becomes in that space. I merge into that space, which you call is beyond the Brahma Loka. I can only experience myself, the divinity there. I cannot explain it. The Prakriti part of it, which is in constant changing in me, according to the vasanas that come up in me, and the impressions as and when according to the time and space element, whatever is coming in me, they keep manifesting as different experiences in my life. But because I am doing the practices and all that, it is there, and I am able to be a witness to these as much as I am putting my this into it. And the faith and all is just a gift. I cannot do anything about it. It is just coming, like you say, like the bubbles don't know when they come up and go down. That is consciousness. The light, the insect which comes with the light doesn't know when it will go. The glowworm doesn't know when it is lighting and when it is switching off. It just naturally tunes itself to it. That's what happens, I think. The Purusha element is beyond the Brahmaloka, what you're saying. I cannot explain it like you. I can experience it. And the Prakriti element is what keeps changing. And less of it, it keeps reducing as over a period of years, your practice becomes constant and consistent. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you. Jai Gurudev. Shanti, you were going to say something?
Yes, sir. Actually, I just thought of sharing which we had in our syllabus, Shalini ma'am's doubt. The answer might be the answer for her doubt. This Atma travel from one locum to another locum. We were discussing, right, sir? So the cycle is like this. It goes first to Agni Lokam, and then the daytime, then Shukla Bhaksham, then Uttarayanam, then all the Devatas Lokam, then Vayu Lokam, Surya Mandalam, Chandra Mandalam, then Vidyut, which we say it as lightning, and then Varunan, Indran, Prajapati, and then it reaches the final entity where it goes to the Paramapadam, they say. This is one thing. That is a travel of Atma, which we have learned in this semester. So I thought of sharing with you all. And Shalini ma'am was asking about the years Manvantaram. Actually, Brahma's life is, as what Sir said, 100 years. But that 100 years is one daytime is equal to 1000 Chaturyugam, and one night time is equal to 1000 Chaturyugam. Brahma's creation work is done in the daytime of Chaturyugams of 1000 Chaturyugams. So the other 1000 Chaturyugam, which is a night time for Brahma, he takes rest and he appoints 14 Manus. 14 Manus for 1000 Chaturyugams. So it is 1000 divided by 14, we will get 71.2 or something. So each Manu, they rule over one Manvantaram. That is called one Manvantaram, 71.2 Chaturyugams. So they take care of the creation part of this Brahma. So now I think we are in the 28th Chaturyugam. Right now we are in Ashtavimshati, that is 28th Chaturyugam now. So I just thought of sharing that, sir. Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
Shanti
Thank you.
ma'am, now Brahma is sleeping, is it? Is that the understanding then? Now, since we are talking about Manu,
Ah,
so it
yeah,
is the sleeping time of Brahma, then?
might be, yes, because now it is Vaivasvata Manvantaram, it is going on. Vaivasvan is taking care of the creation work. So I have
Creation.
deeply gone into that. So this is what the process. The Manvantaram is like this. The 1000 Chaturyugams, which is a night time of Brahma, is divided into 14 Manvantaras. And 14 Manus are ruling over that period of time.
Okay. Anybody else? Kubeshwaran. Jairam sir, we missed you. I guess you're busy with something else.
Just wanted to, meaning most of the things, quite like, thanks for all the, knowledge sharing, Shalini, and the right questions. Quick, the only thing that actually I was able to resonate was, we were thinking of Srija's name, we wanted to keep that as Nirvikalpa. And that when we were talking about the Kalpa that, which is coming in that Lalita Sahasranamam,
Yep.
that Nirvikalpa also, that was striking me. So, talking about Shvetavara Kalpe, the Nirvikalpa was like.
Anything, Jaisudha, from your side? Jairam sir, you were saying, wanted to say something, sir. Please go ahead.
No, that's what. See, the faith, if you have 100% faith, there will not be any questions at all. Just you have to go, as Bhavani, madam, she told, just we are the part of that whatever happens, and we will be part of it, and it will just take us to next step in any which way. Whether you really put in your efforts or not, it will keep on happening as per the, again, basis of some mathematics. Sometimes I feel the animals, there are so many things around us, which, for example, mosquitoes, they have to live their life. We simply kill them. Even before they come and touch us, we will have a bat or something like that, or while driving our car, like that, so many bacteria, so many things we keep on killing. See, those are all, even for us also, unintentional. We not at all intended to trouble them or bother them. Or so many creation, so many animals are eating others, and even humans also eating. Poor things, what is that their mistakes? Why God has brought all these things to just create a karma only to us, sir? How?
Sir,
Sir,
forgetting that, right? In our body, every time, right? There are enemy cells and there are friendly cells. Enemy cells is friendly cells is to kill those enemy cells, so that it doesn't do any harm to it, right? Now, can we say we are doing any karma? No, it is part of nature, right? So we just live it at that. So nature of certain animals, have to go through the mouth of a lion or a tiger, right? So lion or a tiger is doing what it's supposed to be doing, right? No karma it takes. In fact, animals have no karma at all. It's only human beings that are a problem.
Oh, is it so?
Yeah, animals.
Right, sir.
Animals absolutely no karma, because if they're doing it as a nature. See, even you and I
Yes.
use Swadharma, no problem at all.
Oh,
Agree with you, Ramesh. Because human intestine is such that it is not made to eat meat. We eat. But
Yeah,
all the
okay.
animals, lion and all, they eat meat only to survive.
Yeah.
Animals don't have karma like that. They are always in the East consciousness.
Oh, I did not really know about this.
Yeah.
They don't
And
have karma,
absolutely,
isn't it?
until you become a human, until you become a human being, and that is the
Oh,
reason why is that as a human being we have the problem is because we have an intellect. If Bhagavan had
wow.
not given us intellect, we'll also not have any karma because we'll do only instinctively. So all of us sitting in this particular call will do exactly the same thing given us, which is not what we want, right? We want fun, right? And that is the reason
Okay.
God gave us the option of saying, no, you have a choice of doing what you want to do.
So from now onwards, I'll start thinking about
I had a different
so many
dimension
days
to
I
it.
wasted my time.
No, I had a different dimension to it, which was told by one of my friends. I don't know whether it was spiritually transferred to him or something. So there was a discussion that even the plants have life. When you even eat whatever that you eat, the greens you eat, the fruits you eat, don't they have life? And then you are killing something. Even if you are a vegetarian, you are killing something. And I don't know what side that one of my friends was saying is that. So the rishis, how they lived is that when they go and pluck a fruit, he will be plucking it in the stage that when you are not plucking it now, it will ripe. So before that, he will not disturb it. After that, the fruit will not have any life. And that is the exact stage that you will have to pick. And then you eat. So the time that you can really take it is something that the rishis know, which we don't know, but we grow to satisfy ourselves, and then we overgrow, outgrow, whatever. But it is totally a different paradigm. It doesn't say that it doesn't have life or they don't have karma, but it's a different paradigm.
True.
Kumbesh, will you repeat that about the fruit? I didn't understand. The fruit about the rishis? When it
Yeah.
plucks?
What my friend was saying is that the rishis will not pluck everything and eat. They will pluck only, they will know if you are not plucking it now, it will ripe. So it doesn't have any life anymore. And those are the things they pluck and eat. But we grow to satisfy our hunger.
Yeah, see, that we can talk about as a fruit that by its nature falls. But by nature, a flower doesn't fall, right? You cannot say, I can use that same example everywhere. So a flower, has to be taken, right? Because again, nature has given us that, you use it as a prasad when you offer it to the divine. So, but a fruit, as he rightly said, right, whether it is a fruit that automatically drops, the belief was in rishis that only when it's ready to offer, only then I should take it. Rather than I pluck it and I artificially ripen it, etc., is not the nature of the fruit. So, all right, I think we will close for today. We will continue this very beautiful set of topics. We will continue next class. Huh?